I'd also like to mention that if you would like me to send you an electronic copy of this template that I used to print the cards out on the clipboard, you can sign up, say, please send me the postcard template. And then you can take these home, print them out in your communities, and hand them out in where you live, all over the state. So the postcard campaign is great. I think it's got the logo on there, and we really want that logo to be embedded in these legislators' minds. So Peter's going to talk to you, and then if you have more questions after he's done, we can take more questions.
When do you absolutely positively have to have one?
The postcards?
By what date?
No, I don't think we're going to worry about collecting them and then dumping them at once. I think as they just keep trickling in, that indicates that there's ongoing interest. And it's also, I think, more impressive to the recipient that it's not like, oh, you gathered a bunch of people together and you made them all sign postcards. It's people doing it on their own. So, until this is a moot point, until the legislation either dies or is passed, I think just keep sending those postcards.
Linda's got postcards over here. If you raise your hands, she'll get them to you. Raise your hand if you need the postcards. Okay. Now if I could get you to look at this piece of paper that's coming around, the white piece of paper, how an idea becomes a law. I'm not going to go through all the steps of this, but just to run through them extremely quickly. It's a complicated process and it takes time. And we don't have time in this campaign. We really do want to stop this deployment, and as you hear, it could be as early as the end of March that it takes place, that the deployment actually takes place. Members of the Guard Home campaign have not given up on the idea of stopping this deployment. We definitely want to try and stop it, and we believe that it's possible. How? Take a look at this sheet of paper. Where we are right now is the third step over. It says start here, right up here. It says start here. And we've done the first few steps. The bill is drafted by Legislative Council, and the bill is introduced and read for the first time. That's just happened. Then it goes to the Speaker or the President of the Senate and gets referred to a committee. The committee takes it. It has to have a hearing. Then it has to have a work session. Then it has to be passed by the committee. Has to go back to the full House. Has to be passed by the full House. Then passed on to the other House, and the same process repeated over there. Eventually, then it gets to the governor's office, where the governor can conceivably veto it. And then it has to go back for a veto override if we have the power to do that. So I sat down with my wife a couple of days ago, and she's pretty experienced with legislative stuff, and I haven't done it for some years, but I used to work up there, and so I have some idea of what the timeline is. And if you look at the back of the sheet of paper, it says here the best case timeline, and it's showing you what the steps are and how long it will take, we think. And this is pretty much, the first one here is the very best that we can possibly hope. And you will see that with the very best that we can possibly hope, we get it done by the end of March. We get it done by the end of March. But there are a lot of things that can slow it down. And so far, a lot of things have slowed it down. So what it takes to make this thing go quickly is that the legislature needs to understand that there's a huge amount of support out in the public for this to happen. And creating that huge wave of public support is our job. That's what we have to do. There will be 4,000, if it's a typical session, there will be about 4,000 bills introduced, of which about a quarter of them will actually get through the process. We have 3 bills. We have the 2 resolutions, and we have the 1 House bill that provides the authorization. So we need to get 3 bills passed, and we need to do it quick. So you'll notice if you look at these two timelines that if we, the first part of it, they're the same. The first part of the timeline, to go through the first house, the timeline is about the same. It's making some pretty optimistic assumptions. Those of you who've done lobbying know that the times that I've given these things are pretty optimistic. Also, under the comments section, you can see that there's a lot of things that could stop the process in its tracks anywhere along the way. But if we go with the first assumption there, with the first timeline, about the time that we're going to be having the rally in Salem that Leah just talked about, that is on the 15th of March, right about that time, we figure that with the best possible luck, we could have it through one house. Okay, now that will have taken 6 weeks from now, or 5 from now. We don't have another 5 weeks for it to go through the other house. If we went with that scenario, you'd have the second timeline here. So we need to snap things up as of the middle of February, or the middle of March, or before. And that's what we have to do. So that's why we're calling for a call-in effort to begin immediately. Begin calling, and call as often as you can. Call frequently, demand that this happen. You can call your state your House member, you can call your Senate member, but beyond that, you can call the chairs of the committees to which these bills get referred, which is very important, and we don't know who those are yet. But calling them and saying, we want a hearing and we want it soon. Please schedule a hearing for this very soon. That's important. Also calling the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House. Also calling the Senate Majority Leader and the House Majority Leader. All these people are people that you can call and say, get it moving, let's go, let's go, let's go. We've got to lift these pieces of legislation up out of the 4,000 that have been dropped, the 4,000 bills, and say, this is special. Now, what's the legislature mostly focusing on? Well, it isn't this. They're focusing on the budget. Focusing on the budget. How many people have heard that there's going to be a $2 billion deficit this year? A $2 billion deficit. This is a big, serious problem for the state of Oregon, and specifically for the people, the 90 people who are sitting in that legislature. They need to figure out what to do about this, and that's uppermost on their minds. The Guard Home campaign is not uppermost on their minds yet, but it needs to get up there. It needs to become something that they know the people of Oregon are overwhelmingly supporting. That's our job. So if I can encourage you to get your networks moving, get the word into your legislators, get the word into all those other legislators as soon as you can. Don't wait for something to come from somebody else. Get right on it. Start networking. Get it happening, because we really need to move on to this first schedule here and not stay with the second schedule. Because if you look at the bottom of the second schedule, you'll see that it's April 30th, and by then the Guard's gone, probably. That's what I had to say to you. Thank you.
So Kurt.
I wonder if, Peter, you said besides the Speaker of the House, Dave Hunt, and the President of the Senate, Peter Courtney, you said the majority leaders and the minority leaders in both chambers could be contacted also.
Right, and all that information is on the legislature, the legislature's website.
Okay.
And you can get hold of all those folks.
Any other questions? Hans?
So if it did pass, the governor signed it, and what would be the likely response, say, from the Fed? Would they go to court and get a staying order, saying, or challenge it, or something that would just put it on hold for a while in the courts? I'm curious.
Do you know?
Well, if it goes to court and the governor is saying no, the troops are here. So that's good.
Part of the bill authorizes the state attorney general to defend the governor's decision on this, so that's part of the legislation.
Could the military kind of override and say that's fine and well, but meanwhile they're going and we'll talk about it?
I think it would have to go to court because until they are released to the federal government, they're still under the control of the governor. So that would probably push a court hearing, which we would love to see. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
He's right. We need names before we leave today.
We'll look them up. We'll look them up on the website.
Yes, please do, and make sure we all have that list, because I already have thought about composing something with her that we'll get out to our group. And you can't let this energy on this die. We need those names today.
Okay, we'll look it up on the website. Gus?
Yeah, how much will the state save by bringing the troops home?
I don't know that number, but
That would be real handy since they're
it would. Do you have any idea, Mary Alicia? Huh? I'd like to introduce Mary Alicia here. She is an aide for Representative Chip Shields, who is the primary sponsor of the bill and the House resolution. So do you have any idea on that?
I don't actually, but we could find out, but I don't have any numbers.
She said she doesn't have any numbers on what it would save the state in revenue if the Guard stays here, but certainly it has a big financial impact when they leave.
I think that would be a good way to frame this.
Yeah.
Another way to frame this.
Right, that's right. All right. Yes, ma'am?
Can we get a copy of this bill?
The copies of the bills are back there at the table, and if I run out of copies, then sign the thing where it says copies and tell me which ones you want, and I'll send it to you electronically. Sir?
So if we don't have the numbers that would stay here for money, we have the categories that would be here, like what money gets, shoved off in expenses for the Guard, besides being, having to take care of them when they come home wounded and injured. What other categories are there that...
When people leave their jobs, a lot of people have small businesses, they're guardsmen. A lot of people are in law enforcement, and they leave their job, and then that job is empty. So there's a lot of income that way through regular salaries. But there are a lot of problems with people who have small businesses. A guardsman has a plumbing business, and 2 guys work for him, and he's gone to Iraq for 15 months. The business fails, and so that has a financial impact on us. It's a lot of
those are subcategories. I mean, what out-of-pocket expenses does the state have besides lost revenue from taxes and infrastructure like that? What cost is there to maintain the Guard there that wouldn't be here?
I don't think that would be the state's burden. I think the federal government would pay for that. I don't think the state has a special burden when they're deployed that way. I don't believe so. Leo?
Yeah, I was just wondering, there's still funding this bill passage. Will there be a hold on sending the National Guard over?
Well, I'm sorry, could you say that?
No, while this resolution is pending, is there a hold on sending the...
No, there's not. And see, that's what we have to convince the governor, that he has the power to challenge this, because as it stands now, he does not feel that he has the power to challenge this legal authorization. And that's why we need to get this through the House and the Senate to push him and encourage him to stand up and say, yes, you do have the power, and we want you to take it. So
he cannot temporarily block this?
No, he can't. No. Yeah. Let's take somebody who hasn't asked a question. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, Mike. Let's ask Michael because he hasn't asked anything yet. Yes.
My question is: does the Attorney General have the zone authority to go to court on behalf of the state?
I don't think so, because the Attorney General is not in control of the National Guard.
The court is.
No, he can defend the governor's decision, which is what we're going to empower him to do. But the attorney general can't challenge the deployment because they're not under the guard troops are not under his jurisdiction to begin with.
I'd like that to have a legal opinion behind it.
Well, perhaps, but I'm in touch with a lot of lawyers, and I don't think that's an option. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So a question for, could you access the figures of what it costs, I think militarily today for us to have that information today?
Not today.
Okay, you could have that information by when?
I think I could work with Leah and we could come up with maybe a timeline of when you could get it.
Like within a week or a couple days or?
I need to talk with Representative Shields and then I need to coordinate with Leah. I don't want to give you a timeline now and not be able to.
It's the Department of Revenue which would generate that analysis anyway, is it not? So you would really have to go on their timeline when they're going to get the work done for you.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so it's not like if you can call up and get a number.
I can't call it right now and get a number.
Got it, okay.
Because there's the issue with the budget that they're trying to figure out. Because the budget forecast comes out this month.
Okay, Stan?
So,
Actually, I think as a way to lobby, if we could get even an estimate of lost revenue for the state, lost tax dollars, given the priority of the budget, we can show a substantial loss of revenue from the state and tax dollars from the state. This might be an added way to put pressure on the Congress.
Right. Peter tells me we've already gone past time. I will certainly be free to answer more questions. Can we take a couple more, or no, we're done?
We have the names if people want them.
You have the names. Okay. You want to why don't we just leave the names for people to find on the table with all the paperwork? We'll take one more question. Is there somebody who hasn't already asked a question?
I have a qualifier on the Attorney General, which is that the Attorney General gives opinions at the request of state legislators. If a legislator asks him what his position is or what the state's position is, he should answer. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody who hasn't asked a question? Sir.
I tend to agree with the gentleman over here that thinks that if it's a legal issue, we should file suit, and perhaps we can get an injunction to temporarily stop the deployment of the National Guard until the issue is resolved.
As a citizens file a lawsuit.
Yes.
Wow, that's bold. I hadn't thought about that. I will call somebody when we're on break and see what they think about that. But Peter says too short a timeline, but I don't know. Okay, I know people have lots of questions, and we didn't even get. Do you want to read? Okay, you want to read the names? Can you read it loud enough?
Sure.
Yell it out.
All right, I'll try and do this quickly here. So for the Senate, the president is Peter Courtney of Salem Woodburn. You can also look on your quick card and circle people's names maybe so you don't have to write it. You can go either way. So that's Peter Courtney of Salem Woodburn, president of the Senate. The majority leader is Richard Devlin. That's for the House, yeah. So the majority leader of the Senate is Richard Devlin of Tualatin. The minority leader is Ted Ferrioli of John Day. Ferrioli, F-E-R-R-I-O-L-I. In the House, the Speaker of the House is Dave Hunt from Clackamas County. Dave Hunt, Speaker of the House, Clackamas County.
Can circle it on the lavender sheet, the purple sheet.
The majority leader is Mary Nolan of Portland. And the minority leader is Bruce Hanna of Roseburg.
Bruce what?
Hanna, H-A-N-N-A.
Thank you very much. No problem. All right, well, we've cut into our break just slightly, but fortunately it was a longer break. So you can go have about 10 minutes worth of coffee and scones and that kind of thing. And then, stay with me folks, stay with me for a sec. After the break, which will end at 11:30, correct, 11:30, we'll go into the strategy small groups. So whichever group you signed up for upstairs, we'll go into the next room over there. You'll see tables, and look for the little table tent on top of the table that tells you which group is going to be meeting there. And we have facilitators for all those groups lined up. So we'll give you a heads up in about 10 minutes, a little less than 10 minutes. And so regroup in there. Okay, thank you.
Ready for 3 and 4 on the inside page.
Other bills, such in addition to the 3 that we were talking about this morning, how about other bills? And there are going to be some other bills in the legislature that are relevant to our work. And we have a Let's Lobby listserv. And this sheet tells you how to plug into that. Everybody should consider, okay, well, you need to get another one. The backs of... Okay, well, we'll have to figure that out. But anyway, there is a listserv that's called the Let's Lobby listserv that Michael Kerrigan set up, and we've been using it for the last couple of years quite a bit to let us know about lobbying opportunities. And so just sign up for that. It's a very easy thing to do, and then the information will come into your email.
I'll be signed up for more than one. I didn't know until I got here. He just said, "Oh, I hope that was okay." Actually, we do have an outline.
Table.
Well, it says more.
I think it's chair.
And I'm not going to. Our work synergize.
Great to engage others, and Leo has sung with us in Portland and other places. So I said, "Hey, Leo, come be a gramp and sing here." You know, the group is open to anybody that's willing to stand up in front of people and act silly. We're going to start with "Hail, Hail to Our Vets," but a lot of you, I've handed this song sheet. Please get it out, because it has some words in the middle. In fact, we're going to be in the middle page. So if you open it up, and 1, 2, 3. Raging Glennies declare that you must be aware of the plight that our veterans face. Since Bush had the guts to make drastic cuts from their benefits, what a disgrace. Hail, hail to our vets. We know of the hell they've been through. For the rest of their days, they deserve more than praise. They need care and good services too. Oh, it is obscene that some wounded Marines may not get all the help that they need. Vets all face this mess, which adds to their stress, cause their benefits shrank, yes indeed. Hail, hail to our vets. We know of the hell they've been through. We know nurses and vets serve with hearts and with heads, but they're numb next rose for Emily Sue. You have the words too for the song across the page from that, number 2, Oregon Guard Home. That's the one that you could be singing in the next month or 2 with your meetings. Ta-ra-ra-boondy Day is really easy for people to catch on to. So instead of having you participate with us again with that, just practice it on your own in your car as you're going home this afternoon, okay? Because that would be a good one to use. We want to close with When We Make Peace, and this is to the Saints Go Marching In. So it's an echo song. So we will be saying the first verse, When We Make Peace, and you're going to echo When We Make Peace. Instead of war, and then we all join together. So just follow along those words there, okay? When we make peace. When we make peace. When we make peace. Instead of war. Instead of war. When we make peace instead of war. Oh, I want to be in that number. When we make peace instead of war. When old growth trees are left to stand. Are left to stand. When old growth trees are left to stand. Oh, I want to be in that number. When old growth trees are left to stand. When Hanford wastes have been cleaned up, and Hanford wastes have been cleaned up. Oh, I want to be in that number. When Hanford wastes have been cleaned up. When Double 11 is free of crud, is free of crud. When Double 11 is free of crud. Oh, I want to be in that number. When Double 11 is free of crud. When all the world has human rights, when all the world has human rights. Oh, I want to be in that number. When all the world has human rights. When justice rules instead of fear. When justice rules instead of fear. Oh, I want to be in that number. When justice rules instead of fear. When all the courts uphold the law. When all the courts uphold the law. Oh, I want to be in that number. When all the courts uphold the law. When we stand up for what is right, When we stand up for what is right. Oh, I want to be in that number. When we stand up for what is right. When we make peace, instead of war, When we make peace instead of war. Oh, I want to be in that number. When we make peace instead of war.
Raging Granny. All right, thank you very much. What a great start for our afternoon session. So, first thing for our afternoon session is that Leah and I want to tell you about a really exciting new development that's a gift from the peacemakers in Illinois to the peace movement of the entire United States. It's a wonderful gift. Leah's going to tell you about some of the details, and then we're going to show you an example of how it works. And this is part of our afternoon work is how can we communicate better within the movement here in Oregon. It's totally and directly and right on point. There's some terrific tools that are being provided to us for free, gratis, no cost. All you have to do is use them. Leah?
Just quickly, I'll say that when I was at a peace conference in Minnesota that was coinciding with the RNC, I met these folks that work for something called Peace and Justice Network, or Peace, Justice, and Environment Project, excuse me, pjep.org is their website, pjep.org. And this fellow that is a website designer by trade, he does this. Now there are dozens of states, I think we'll be the 36th or something, that will have this. It's a statewide... 42nd? Okay. Okay. Well, we have a goal of March 10th for coming online, and Peter says we're going to be the 42nd state. So this is all across the country. They have these networks, and it's a website that has all of the peace, justice, and environmental organizations in your state. It's a statewide website, and it has incredible capabilities. So I'm going to try to demonstrate a little bit of it. What you told me about, did you want to go through the Michigan one and just show some?
Well, I'll just tell you a few things that I learned from Laurel Lambert-Schmidt, who is one of their staff people this week. There's currently sites for 36 states with 5 more to go live soon, and Oregon is going to be right after that, and will be, as she said, the 42nd. It was recently established in Wisconsin, where an old network, an old peace network, joined the Peace, Justice, and Environmental Project, which was, and that change was driven by their Guard Home campaign, because they wanted to be more effective statewide. So that's what happened there. And they're seeking, their idea is to establish a wider network than has been the case in the past. So what you can do with this is, if you click up there, Leah, on campaigns, you notice that just slide, yeah, there you go. You can do petitions and boycotts and e-letters and fundraisers, and this can all be done online. And those are the tools that they're providing. Then any member can post an action, and once the action has been posted, every member of the network will get an email, and will get to vote on a level of participation with that particular action. So in other words, if we said lobby for the Guard Home campaign, you'd get an email in your email as a representative of the network that would say they're going to be working on lobbying for the Guard Home campaign. Do you want to be a sponsor of that, or an endorser of that, or will you participate in it, or do you just support it, or do you not want to have anything to do with it? And all those possibilities are there for you will be there for you to vote on. Then there's also a social networking component. These are some actions of some examples of actions that they have in Michigan. There's a homepage, and a representative for each member organization can be an administrator on the homepage and put up stuff on the homepage. There's a calendar. Click on the calendar there, and then we have a statewide calendar there, and interestingly enough, and this was a shock to me, but they just sent out invitations to Oregon organizations to participate in this thing, and they sent invitations to 444 Oregon organizations. Did you know there were 444 organizations? Now, of course, that includes the environmental ones too, not just peace, but 444 organizations that they've identified. So those are some of the things that I found out. And then she said, she followed up on a question and said March 10th is a pretty reasonable date for them having it together to actually have this live for Oregon. And then she says there's a bunch of tasks here that they need to accomplish to get them done. I won't go through all that. But they think that by March 10th, they will have it up and running for Oregon to use. I had just one problem with this whole thing from the time that I first heard about it about a year ago, and that was this. As I said earlier, if you look on the back of your blue sheet in the packet, you'll see that Oregon Peaceworks has a bunch of networking tools. Some of you have been great about using those tools. Most of the movement has not been great about using those tools. The tools are there. They've been there for a long time. That is the same experience that they've been having with PJEP across the country. They make these tools available and people don't use them. So what I'm going to throw out a challenge to you to say, as soon as the Oregon site goes live on around March 10, let's set a record for being the state that has the most activity on this site, because this is a great tool. This is a lot less work than what Peaceworks has been trying to provide in the way of calendars and action alerts. It's super efficient. It's really good. They have a whole lot of things. Leah's going to show you some of the details in just a moment. There's a lot of great possibilities here, and all we have to do is do it. So we need to get much more committed to this business of networking. We can't just leave it all up to a few people in the state to do all our networking for us. So Leah, take it away in terms of the demonstration.
Okay, I know some people here have already received their invitation. I know Lorna has, and other groups, they've received their invitation. If you belong to a group and you were interested in being on this and you didn't get an invitation, you contact pjep.org and you tell them you want your organization to be invited to participate. It's pjep.org. Let them know. This is a shell of what our website is going to look like. So our header at the top there, it could be like that, or it could be like anything we want. And we can make up our own name. They have different names for the different websites. If you go to pjep.org, you'll see all the different state websites, and they have all different names. A lot of them are very similar to this. They're like the Maine Peace, Justice, and Environment Project website. So we can pick that, and the users will vote on what our website will be named and what it will look like. So, but the basic header is going to be the same on all the websites, and they have the same functions. So when you go, once your organization is on board with this program, somebody will be the administrator, and they will have access to this admin control panel. So you come in here. Profile is pretty self-explanatory. You're going to put your member information in there, phone number, address, that kind of stuff, password, and then this is going to tell you. You click on which of these things that you want to receive: general news, action alerts, whatever, and you can click on as many things as you want. Back to admin controls, organizations. So you want to add your organization to this thing, and we just did this as a test. She put Veterans for Peace 132 in there, and then so that this will show you a menu of all the different organizations, and then you can go in here, and what you're going to do is, let me see. Oh, good. Okay. There are all these tags, these issue tags, and they are going to add another one called Afghanistan-Pakistan / Afghanistan/Pakistan. Is it? Oh, it sure is. Okay. So that's the latest one. That's the latest one. So these 43 tags, or however many it is, these are you have to pick up to 5 of these that your organization fits with. And then these tags will come into play later on when you're trying to find organizations that you're interested in where they overlap. So she just did this. Healthcare is probably not one we would have chosen, but she just did this to show what it's like. So you click on one of these, and then those tags will be attached to your organization. And you can also add custom tags, like National Guard could be a custom tag that you can add there in that part. Description down here. This BD code is just a very simple code where you can use, you can make things bolder or italic or whatever. And you can use this to describe your organization. And then as we go on down, you've got the contact information for if you have a website. and that kind of stuff. That's just kind of general. So that's organizations. Then we go back. You can add logos. You can add your logo to your page. And I'm sure lots of you have logos, so that's a good thing. Message Center, you can, I have no favorites. Okay. We went over this yesterday, but the, these are for contacting, if you have people that you talk to all the time or other groups, this is your kind of, like Outlook or whatever, if you have Windows. Actions, this is kind of neat here. So actions. Now she being Laurel, recommended that we use this for everything, not just really big actions, but if you're going to show a film or you're going to have a meeting or whatever, put it in the actions. So you're going to click on whatever your organization is there, the start date, end date, time, the action name. If you're going to have a vigil or a protest or a film showing or whatever, and then you're going to click on which tags are appropriate, custom tags, and then here you can describe it in detail. So then this is going to be posted later after you submit it. You submit the action, then it's going to show up automatically on the calendar. So you don't have to worry about entering things twice. It's going to show up automatically on the calendar, and I believe it also shows up on the home page. I'm not 100% sure on that. So let's see, keep going here. Votes. This is when somebody proposes an action. So they're going to, I don't know if this is going to let me show you because there's nothing in there. There's no actions. This is what he was talking about, voting, and you saw that the example where they had the green panel and the green, different color green, and one said support, endorse, or whatever. So you're going to vote on whether your organization is going to do whichever of those levels of support. And that way, when you go back to and you look at that that grid thing, then it's obvious who's on board, who has agreed to sponsor this, who is a spokesperson for this, who is providing people or assets to it. That stuff is available on that grid. Petitions. You can. This first page are just kind of tips on how to create a best possible petition, on how to do that. And then when you go to the continue page, then this is where you're actually writing the petition, and you're going to put your organization, the end date, the petition name, and then describe it. And once again, you put your tags on there, on what it relates to, any custom tags. Goal amount means how many signatures you intend to try to get on your petition. Invitation message, this can go out automatically. You write an invitation in there, and you've probably seen these hundreds of times where people say, I just signed a petition for such and such, and I hope you'll do that too. So that's the invitation. And then the thank you is, thank you for signing the petition to do such and such. So it does all this stuff automatically. It's incredible. Okay, so that's the petition thing. You can also do boycotts, which are very, very similar to petitions in the way they're formatted. E-letters. This is pretty exciting. You can do an e-letter, and it's got tips, just like before. Tips on how to do your best, most effective e-letter, but then you can send it out to whoever you like. Like you want to send it to. Here we go. This is the part I want to show you. So you can target specific people, like if you were some company is dumping poison in the river, you can target the CEO of the company. Or if it's legislation, you can click on a state and Arkansas Senate. That's who I want to talk to, and then it comes up who you need to send that to. Right? So it's just click, 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 and it goes. You can do this, we're going to do this with the state legislature, the federal legislature. So this is really powerful. And, you know, it doesn't obviate the need for the little postcards that are personal. I mean, that this is also very powerful. Isn't that right?
Yes, it is.
So this is a tool, you know, that the big guys have had for a long time, and now us little peace groups all over the state can combine our power and use these powerful tools. That was e-letters. Fundraisers, you could do fundraising. It's very similar, kind of the basic format. You're gonna set goals, and oh, here's a fantastic perk of this thing. So you wanna have a fundraiser for Bring the Guard Home. Fill that in. The proceeds, where's the money going to go? That organization, whatever that organization is. Let's say it's Peace and Justice Works Oregon, which has been the primary coordinator for our state. Proceeds destination. So all the funds that are raised through our online fundraiser are made out to Peace and Justice Works Portland, but PJEP cuts the check and sends it. So we don't have to worry about PayPal, we don't have to worry about checks bouncing, we don't have to worry about MasterCard and dealing with any of that. So people make their online contribution and they say, I want it to go to Peace and Justice Works. It goes to the PJEP people and they cut the check and mail it to Dan Handelman. It's incredible. Yeah, isn't it great? So that's a really good thing. Yeah. If you ever dealt with fundraising and all that problem.
Do they charge an admin fee for all that?
I think there is a small one, but it's not a lot. And they're providing this whole thing for free, so it's you know, you can't complain too much. I think MasterCard charges a certain percentage for processing anyway, so I think there is a small
Question.
Yeah, question.
Is there a 501c3 umbrella by chance?
Yes, this PJEP is a 501c3.
So other organizations can do our activities under that umbrella, is that what I'm hearing?
No. If you want to make a contribution to PJEP, it would be tax deductible to continue the work they're doing. If you want to make a contribution to an organization that is not a 501c3, you can make it through them, but it still won't be tax deductible. So does that answer your question?
Yeah. Half the question, the other half is then who's responsible for the money that came in as an income?
I don't understand. So an organization's not a 501c3, like Alternatives to War in Corvallis. It's not a 501c3. So, but they can be the fundraising recipient, and people send in $10 to Alternatives to War. PJEP cuts a check to Alternatives to War for $10. But the person who wrote the check cannot count that as a tax.
I'm asking about the people, the Alternatives to War that received the check. Who then is responsible for reporting that? And I'm kind of understanding how that's exactly this way.
Very sophisticated tax law question that probably is beyond the scope.
I have no idea. Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
It would be Alternatives to War. The website is just providing the administrative processing of the money, just like PayPal provides the processing.
Yeah. Thanks.
But the person who receives the money would be responsible.
So calendar items, there may be things that you could add separately as a calendar item, but I really don't know why, I don't really know when you use this, because if you put an event in, it'll show up on the calendar. So I'm trying to think of when
if there was a recurring quarterly meeting or something, you could put it here.
Yeah.
Cape Day or something like that.
Yeah, okay. She recommended, well, I'll show you. So there's the calendar. News articles, announcements. You can post news articles and you can post pictures. I think you cannot. I'm not sure if you can post video. I'll have to ask her about that. But you can add news articles, announcements, resources. Let's see.
It's like a link, a hot link?
Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah, I think it is. Resources, content. Okay.
Try to drop it on your type.
It's a, you can put I'll put a file or you can put a URL.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Good. So you should be doing this.
Or you can read it.
Yeah.
You can sit here and casually read this.
Okay. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but also Laurel has written guides, like little manuals, handbooks, to help you through this, block by block. Yeah.
So that's for someone to set something up in, but how do you read it? Do you have to just log in and establish an account then?
Yes.
And you're in the domain?
Yes. Yeah. You log in, and then you can go check out all this stuff, like we showed on the Michigan side. You can
So it would take the individuals in the group also establishing the and logging in to then access this.
Although, I looked at
on the web, just open everything.
I think some of it's open, but other things like the social network, if you want to send emails to somebody else on the network, you would have to have an account and log in. But I think some things you can look at without being logged in, like the calendar. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Guys will tell us that.
Right, and I looked at Maine's and I saw what they were doing. So, yeah, I don't think you have to be logged in to see some of the things, but other things you would have to.
Leah, if you go back to the Michigan site, you can see what's regularly available, because we're not.
Okay.
We're not.
I know.
We're not
let me
special people from Michigan.
Right. So
But we are gonna have to wrap it
that's
up.
about basic stuff. So you'll see those four things: petitions, boycotts, e-letters, and fundraisers. Those are the four things that go under campaigns. See, petitions, boycotts, e-letters, and fundraisers. Those are what they call campaigns. So, do you want to go back to the Michigan one? Do you remember what the website was?
That would probably do it.
Oh, if I just hit that? Okay. I was just going to take you to the back last screen. See. History. Where's history? Oh, history. Thanks, guys. Back. No, it's just going back a page.
Usually you can
Log out.
Log out.
Scroll down.
Scroll down.
Yeah.
Open the location bar, then like you did, and then scroll down. At the top.
Log out!
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so what,
Yeah, open that and then scroll down. The location at the top there, where it says HTTP OR. You open that up and then scroll down. There's no scroll bar. There.
but I don't see it. Okay, I'm just going to put PJP.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is their main website, and you can see, oh, this is a good thing too for me to show you. Yeah, 36. So here's the national calendar. This is the national calendar. And yeah, so this is kind of exciting. See, it's all over the country. And
But it makes the point that there's not very much going on the network compared to what there really ought to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you ought to not be able to even begin to see everything that's on there.
Yeah.
If people were really using it.
Right.
So that's what we have to do, is really use it.
So let's see. So
Log on to Michigan again.
yeah, I'm trying to find. Okay, wait a minute. Back to home. Okay, so 36 states.
Down road, scroll down. Keep going, keep going.
Keep going. Ah, okay.
There you go. Michigan Peace Network.
Yeah, so there's where it started, Illinois, and that's where their home base, Minnesota, Florida, Michigan. We'll go back to Michigan. Okay, so what do you want to see? So you see these are new organizations that have just joined the network. These are the calendar. Here's their calendar.
So you can easily see that.
Yeah, and yeah, there should be a lot more stuff in this. One tip she mentioned to me was, you see they put the city name first. Because lots of people, if you put Peace Vigil, it's not obvious to, where it is. So she recommended putting your city first and then a description of the title of the event. But these are details that, once we start working on it, we can figure out. Member organizations, here's all the organizations that are on the Michigan Peace Network. And there's a lot. Yeah, look at all those. Look at all those. So so you want to know more about Tibet, Michigan, you can click there, and there's a description. There's their logo. As I mentioned, you had logos. And then you can see their issue tags. And you can contact them through a message here. You could tell a friend about this site, So I think, now let's see, if we click this, if we will get all the other organizations that are on that. I wonder if that's what will happen. Yeah, look at that. So there's all the other organizations that have that tag. Cool. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this? Like I said, if you haven't received the invitation, contact PJP, tell them you want to be a part of it, and then they will be sending out, they will add your name to the listserv. The listserv will be published, in just a couple days, I think. They're going to get that going. And then they'll use the listserv to take input on how we're going to develop the website.
Yeah, who's behind the organization?
PJT?
Yeah.
It's this gentleman named Andrew, and he's a private web designer. He's made his money, and this is his gift to the peace community. Yeah.
And it's certified that he does not work for the NSA.
Yeah.
And even if he does.
So where's the server physically located?
I want him in the Peace
I think
Network.
it's in Illinois.
Illinois.
I think so.
Okay, thank you very much, Leah, for doing. We got one more question back. We need to move into our small groups in a minute. So our subject for the next period of time, back in the other room, and this time just sort of sort yourselves out tables that look like a reasonable number. And what we're trying to figure out now is how can we actually use the tools that are in front of us. You'll take out your packets now and get the blue page and look on the back of it. Some of you I know have a blank on the back, and we apologize for that. We had a glitch with printing these things, but somebody in your group is bound to have the stuff on the back. And I just gave mine away. So we already have a weekly email calendar. We haven't had it out for the last few weeks because we lost a staff person that was doing that, and we haven't managed to get that going again. But we have been doing this for a number of years. Yaney in the back can testify to that. She did it for years herself.
I was really good. We had great interns who figured out how to do it. Bless him wherever he may be.
Right. So until this is up and running, which will be another month or so, here are the instructions on how to use this calendar. You send us material in that format, if at all possible, and to that address. We also have been doing action alerts for many years. There's information there as to how to use that. To get on the Peace Worker calendar, all you have to do is send us that same information. I'm going to look into getting the information, the calendar information, off this for the Peace Worker. So when we go to this, then hopefully we'll be able to do that. If you want to put an article in the Peace Worker we had to scale it back some because we couldn't afford, we were in serious debt to our printers, and so we had to scale it back some. It now comes out in print 4 times a year, but it comes out 10 times a year online, and all you have to do is download from our website, which is OregonPeaceWorks.org. If you want to get an article in, contact me about that. Or Ken, who's right over here, who's now our associate editor. Raise your hand, Ken. And he's been helping out on a voluntary basis doing that for this issue and the last one. And then we have the statewide listservs, which we may probably continue to use, which we'll probably continue to use even with this one set of tools that's being offered to us by PJEP. But, as I said before, the key to using these tools is using these tools. You know, Peaceworks does not have the staff to call you up every month and say, so what's your group doing? And then proceed, you know, to run it down. So if you don't participate, as a lot of organizations in all these states are not doing, if you don't participate, these things are worthless. So we have to use them. So what we'd like to do right now is get in these small groups and talk to one another about how can we use these tools and the ones that PJEP are making available to us in a way that's actually going to work. You know, and we get really good intentions at these meetings, and this is the third one now. The last two we've had great intentions, but they were not followed through on. And so the question is, how are we going to come up with something that actually works, that makes us able to have this enormous power by getting everybody to participate? So we'll be doing this until when? We'll be doing these small groups until 3:10, and then we'll come back, we'll have a little break, and then we'll come back for the final plenary. And at that time, we will hear from all the groups about what happened this morning and what great ideas you had this morning. And we won't necessarily make a group-by-group report, but we'll ask you all to do kind of popcorn and jump up and say, in our group, we had this great idea. And you hopefully wrote it down on your sheet. And then we'll also, at the same time, talk about what comes out of these groups and what great ideas you have for using the tools. So, let's go into the small groups now, and I'll let you know when it's time for our afternoon break, which will be in just a little over half an hour now.
Same small group?
No, not necessarily. Just pick a table and sit down with some people that you want to talk to. Try not to sit down with the people that you see every day. All right, thank you.